Okay, so our next presenter is going to be Eric Jones of the Student Money Management Center. And do you have a PowerPoint, Eric, for this?
I do, or I could just wing it.
Okay, well, maybe we can make you a presenter or something. I'm not sure how that works. Let's see.
Yeah, let me just assign you as a co-host, and I think you should be able to present.
Perfect. Thank you, Anastasia.
How you guys doing today? Turn your mics on. I work here at the college. You don't have to act like I'm going to hire you. I'm not. I'm ready to see you guys leave and make some money.
Hey.
Okay, I think you should be able to share your slides, Eric. Let me know if you're not able to.
I'm gonna wait just 1 second. I'll let you know if I have some technical difficulties, but I want to hear your voices. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Mr. Eric.
Thanks for being here again, Eric.
Welcome. If you didn't turn your mic on, then leave. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Mr. Eric, have you given a presentation to the Intro to Honors class about 3 semesters ago?
Possibly.
I feel like it was you. I don't know.
I stood up in a room with Stephen Smith and gave a presentation.
Right.
In Dahlonega. Yeah. So, is this a Dahlonega crowd, or you guys multiple campuses?
It's multi-campus.
Multi-campus?
I'm Dahlonega.
Did you get anything out of that presentation?
Yes, it's been a while, but yeah. Yeah.
All right, that's the correct answer. Otherwise, everybody was going to leave, right? So, so yeah, I'm here at the Student Money Management Center. If you're not familiar with what we do at the Student Money Management Center, we try to help you work out your goals for and achieve your goals regarding personal finance. So whether that's more information or you have specific goals, you can come in and talk to us. Our services are available to you even after you graduate. The one thing that we don't do is personalized investing advice. We're not a fiduciary, so we're not going to follow up with any advice that we give you. We're not managing any money, so it's kind of irresponsible for us to tell you what you should do, because good advice right now in the world of investing can be horrible advice later on in the day. So we stay away from that. But other than that, every subject is on the table. So having said that, does anybody have any questions or something they would like to get out of this session today, so I can make sure that I address that? And you can put it in the chat. You can turn your microphone on. You can just be here because you're polite and don't want to hang up on me. All right.
Eric, I've got something.
Yes, Royce.
If you could touch on just the benefits side of a job, because sometimes when I was young, I didn't think about the retirement benefits and things and how important that is in weighing your decision of where you want to go.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up, because I have a whole section on that. All right, so I won't make you, since you're reviewing, turn your microphones on. You guys know how to use the reactions area. So the hand clap or the thumbs up, I don't care which one you use. But I would ask you brave souls to volunteer. Who is intentionally managing their money right now, meaning I have a plan and I try to stick to it? Give me a reaction of some type. All right, I'm loving it. So whose plan is, I look at my bank account, I know I get paid on Friday and I got to make it till then? Natalie, I think you were coming in on the other side of that, weren't you? So whether you're intentionally managing your money or you're reactively managing your money, you've got to come up with some type of goals. And I love that Paul left off with come up with some goals and write them down, because science does say that you are more likely to achieve a goal if you actually just go through the process of being able to write it down, because you have to come up with some kind of plan to do that. And you're 70% more likely to achieve that goal if you tell somebody about it, because then you feel accountable to someone, right? So moving forward, when you're talking about your personal finances, can you tell me what writing down your goals regarding personal finance looks like? This is a one-word answer. Everybody's favorite word when it comes to personal finance?
Save. Like my one word would be save more money.
So it's called a budget. Fun word. And we try to create new terms because people kind of shrivel up. Do you kind of tense up when you hear the word budget? If you do, you're not alone. 60% of people in this country do not use a budget. They don't come up with a plan for their finances every month. I'd say that's one reason that we probably have about $10,000 in average household credit card debt right now. I have zero credit card debt, which means somebody out there has $20,000, right? So here's the thing. The reason that I do what I do now is because I want you guys to be able to get the skills or at least have the information necessary to go out there and not have to learn through trial and error. That happens too much, especially we've got more guardrails up now around credit card, borrowing, lending, and so on and so forth. But I don't know if anybody closer to my age wants to weigh in, but they mailed me a credit. I literally, my first credit card was mailed to me when I turned 18. I didn't request it. I didn't apply for it. It just showed up in the mail and said, in the statement, here's your credit card. If you'd like to keep it, use it anywhere and we'll start your account. It was literally that easy to go into debt. So there's more guardrails now. And Amy and Anastasia, I keep getting a pop-up saying people are in the waiting room. I don't know if I guess I'm a co-host now. That's what it is, right? But there's still a lot of ways to get into trouble. And so we don't want you guys to go through the trial and error phase. And so with that said, the first part of, being intentional, and I've heard from recent graduates who come back and say, Eric, I need help. I was great in college and I got a salary and I wasn't in school anymore and the structure changed and I went a little hog wild. So getting that salary entitles or gives some people the feeling of entitlement that they have to be less structured with their finances because they've got more resources now. Be aware that that is a feeling that a lot of people have, and it's easy to get in trouble there. So who uses a budget? And I'll take a reaction, or you can raise your hand, or you can say your name. If you don't, here's kind of an example budget. There's a 50-20-30 rule, but to be quite honest, sorry, it's been a long time since I've presented on Zoom. I've been on Teams mostly, so I keep clicking buttons thinking something else is going to happen. Just write it down. What are my expenses? How much money do I make? And be realistic with it. A lot of people, the reason that budgets fail for the most part is people set up unrealistic budgets. So what they do is they say, well, I make X amount of money a month and I have rent and food and bills, and then I've got this left over. So I'm going to put this here, and this is entertainment. This is going out. And now income equals expenses. I've got a successful budget. And what you've done is you've done simple math, which you've been doing since 2nd or 3rd grade, right? Addition and subtraction. That may not be a realistic budget because you're not actually sitting down and saying, what are my values? What are my goals? I'm just putting in, I know I've got to pay rent and I've got money left over. So that's money I can use to go out with. You have to come up with an actual plan for what's important to me and where does it fit and how can I achieve it. If you just do simple math, your budget's going to fail most of the time. So that being said, I'm going to skip around a little bit here. I would love for you guys to speak up or throw something in chat or somebody interrupt me if there is a question. Your financial plan is a budget. Your financial goals should be there. That should include savings. That should include emergency savings, guys. If you are planning for retirement and you're hitting all your goals there, If you're planning on saving for a house, hitting all your goals there, paying back student loans, hitting all your goals there, but then all of a sudden you have an unplanned automotive emergency and you got to pull $2,500 out of some account, you just set a goal back. And if that's your retirement savings that you're planning on growing for another 30 years, that could be way more than $2,500 as the consequence shows down the line. So have emergency savings. Smaller goals are better. We budget monthly, bills come monthly, so monthly is kind of the standard. If you're getting paid every 2 weeks, 1st and 15th, maybe you want to set your goals for every 2 weeks. Set goals that work for you and set them small enough to be achievable. If you say, I want to save $10,000 this year, it's not really a goal, that's a statement. If you say, I want to save $1,200 a month or $1,000 a month, that's a little bit more achievable. If it's $100 a month, start there. If it's $25 a month, start there. Just start saving, okay? Don't just include the restrictive stuff in your bills or in your budget. And it's not just about paying the bills. If you want to go on vacation, you have to put that in there. And the last bullet point here is what I think is probably most important on this slide. If you're going to set up your budget, you have to go back and look at your past spending. You have to see what's there, and that'll give you the opportunity to say what's important to me. One exercise that I have every student do that wants to start making a financial plan when they're here in school is go back and look at 3 months worth of spending. Who here uses a card when they spend money? You swipe a card of some sort. Excuse me. What does that do for you? It creates a record of where you spent the money, how much you spent, gives you a date. So it gives you a record of everywhere that you spend money. So we've got a budgeting spreadsheet on the Student Money Management Center website that I encourage people to use. I'm not a spreadsheet person, but that doesn't mean it's not an excellent planning tool. So what I tell students to do is go back and look at, I tell anybody that's asking for budgeting advice, go back and look at 3 months of expenses. Where did you spend your money on average for 3 months? And that will show you where your money values are right now. And as you're going through that exercise, you're going to start coming up with some, hopefully not too judgmental evaluations of where the money's been going. I had a student come in and I love telling this story. I'm never going to forget it. She wanted to know how she could ask her parents for money less. They were paying all her bills. They were giving her an allowance. She had no financial stress whatsoever. She just wanted to ask them for money less. She was very thankful of it. So I said, well, go back and look at 3 months of expenses, put it in the spreadsheet, come back and tell me what you found. She comes back in and I said, did you find any surprises? And she said, oh my God, I spent $700 a month on food. And I will never forget the reaction. It was just involuntary. I just was looking her in the eye when she said it, and I did this. Where does it all go? Because this student could not have weighed 85 pounds. There is no way that she had a meal plan at school and also spent $700 a month on food. So as we went through it, we were looking at her expenses, and a lot of her very, very high dining out every month bill was not food, it was socializing. If you live in Dahlonega, I think you'll know if you're going to socialize off campus, you're probably going somewhere where there's food if you don't go to somebody's house, right? So you go, everybody at the table orders, even if you're not hungry, you're kind of likely to order something, right? So you have to break this down. Am I dining out? Is this food? Or am I socializing? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? While we were looking at her dining out, she spent $70 a month on coffee. She goes, Eric, I don't even like coffee. I don't like coffee. I was like, what are you doing? So for those of you on the Dahlonega campus, you'll know that Starbucks is very close. It's in a campus building, but what they were doing is her and a group of friends during the meeting hour 3 times a week, and sometimes other days would meet, walk over to Starbucks. They were socializing. They're talking about whatever they're talking about. They all get in line. Her friends would order. She was in line with them. She got up. She ordered a coffee because she was in line. And then they walked around the square or did whatever they did. And then when it's time to go to class, she took her full coffee cup and threw it away as she walked into class. So she was literally just throwing $70 a month away and wasn't even paying attention to it. So you have to go back and look where your spending has been to identify the areas. Is this really important to me, or am I doing it without thinking about it? Does that make sense to you guys? Anybody doing that currently? I'm going to stop asking you questions. You're just not going to answer me. When you've got your plan set out, so go through and then put all that stuff in. You may find areas when you're reviewing your spending of, I didn't really know that was important to me, but if it's in your spending on a regular basis, it may be important to you. So that's a way to identify where your goals are and what you should prioritize. Review regularly. This is something that the process of budgeting takes a while initially. After a while, you're going to kind of hit a groove. My monthly review now takes me about 3 minutes. I've got a plan. It hasn't changed in a while, so I haven't had to go in and rework it. Amy, you got your hands raised?
Yeah, so I was just going to say two things. One, there are a few questions in the chat for you, Eric. I don't know if you can see that.
I can't see it while I'm presenting.
Oh, okay. Well, I can read them to you. And then also, as new people come in, for some reason, everybody's name is being assigned as Paul Lopez. So if you are a Paul Lopez and that is not your correct name, can you please go to the participants panel and click where it says more and change your name? Thank you. And I apologize about that. Okay. So for the questions for Eric.
Before the questions, could I say that if we all had a little bit more Paul Lopez in our life, we'd all be better off though, right?
That's a beautiful point, Eric. Thank you. You said what we were all thinking. Okay, so the first question is, what is the most common mistake you see students make when budgeting?
Not reviewing your finances. And I think I covered that pretty thoroughly, but that really is, people set up a budget and they just try to make income and expenses match. And you guys, you couldn't get into UNG if you couldn't do that. So the process is being intentional. Go back and look at your past spending, and it's going to inform the process of setting up your budget going forward. That answer the question, I hope?
I did not ask that question, so let me see who originally asked
Hopefully
that.
they'll come in the chat.
That was me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was me. That answered my question. Thank you.
And then Holly had a question about investment starting from a younger age. So she asks, if a student who is 20 years old invests $200 each month in a Vanguard account, how much money will they have when they are 40 years old and 65 years old?
Word problems. I thought I got out of those in high school. We're going to do a little bit of investing. I think I've spent, what time are we ending this?
I think you have until 1:10.
Okay, so we'll probably jump to that here in just 1 second. I would encourage you, if you do have questions about something that's specific, that, you know, my office is always open. You guys are welcome to book an appointment. Just go to our website, come on in. I want to talk specifically about a 401k before we leave here, and that will also answer some questions about long-term investing. The Vanguard account, if it's okay, let's cover the 401k, and if you still have that same question, let's come back to it. Amy, anything else before we get to that?
Let's see here. What are some safe ways to build credit when you are a student so you can buy a car or rent an apartment after you graduate?
Okay, the only way that you can build credit without paying any interest is to get a credit card and to use it every month and then pay it in full every month. And that's a dangerous game to get into if you haven't used a credit card before. I would certainly encourage you to come in and get a personalized plan for yourself, sit down with me and let me run through the ABCs of credit. But the only way to do it without paying any interest is use a credit card and pay it in full every single month. That doesn't mean put everything that you need on your credit card every single month, because it doesn't matter if you pay a $50 bill or a $500 bill every single month. You get an on-time payment. So there's checks, good side, bad side. And the fastest way to build your credit score is to have a long string of on-time payments. So if you get a credit card and you don't use it, it benefits you a little bit in the fact that you don't have a large balance and you've got an open credit account. But the fastest way is to put something like a fixed bill on your, like my internet is something that goes on my credit card every single month because I know exactly what it's going to be and I pay it off every single month. And it's $65, right? And that's something that I would pay for anyway. That's another key. Don't put something on your credit card that you wouldn't pay for normally.
Okay, let's see if there's any other questions.
I do see one more from Alicia. Amy, I don't think you've asked it yet. It's if a student were to get a credit card, how do they know whether it's a good or bad choice? Like how much interest they should look for?
0.
0.
None. Pay no interest. Don't use a credit card as a personal loan. I will say this. Think about it this way. When you're using a credit card for the rest of your life, think about it this way. If I were going to make this purchase and walk into a bank, and so say you wanted to go buy a new flat screen TV for the Super Bowl. You didn't have the cash and you just couldn't wait. You had to have it right now. If you walked into a bank and asked them for $2,000 to go buy a new TV and they said, sure thing, Royce, we're happy to loan you $2,000. It'll be 26% interest. Royce, I hope you pick up something on their desk and throw it at them and then leave. Because
I'm out of there.
Right? That's essentially what you're doing when you use your credit card, right? The bank might loan you $2,000 at 3 or 4% interest. You know, for a small loan like that, it may be a little bit more. But your credit card is always going to be higher than what a personal loan could be. So when you use your credit card for something that you can't afford right now, you're making a decision to issue yourself a loan at double-digit interest, but you don't get to collect the interest. So, did I answer the question, or did I just dive down a rabbit hole?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
If you're seriously thinking about taking out a credit card and you don't have any experience in it, come talk to me.
Okay,
I will make 30 minutes of your day very worthwhile, I promise.
Okay, thank you.
Eric, along those lines, something I've seen lately is that the banks will sometimes just increase your credit limit without even asking you.
And you can contact them and tell them to lower your credit limit again. If you're well controlled with your spending and you're not using your credit cards as personal loans, there's really no reason to worry about somebody increasing your credit limit. That is something that is basically just a ploy to, make you feel like you've got more flexibility in borrowing. But you can certainly, and I've done that. I've had that happen to me, and then I've contacted them saying, I really don't need this. Thank you very much. But if you're well controlled, then there's no real reason to worry too much about it. So I saw another hand raised, but I want to do a little bit on the, let's see here. So I love financial calculators. There's one online for everything, anything and everything. So I want to talk to you guys something about 401k. Have you guys heard it's free money? It's not really free money. It's kind of an enticement to keep you working somewhere. Many people will say, I would much rather have a higher employer match on my 401k than I would get a raise. And that's pretty smart. And we're going to talk about that. But what I want to talk about is delaying your investing. So let's say you get a job. You're all going to get a job. That's not even a hypothetical. But I want to show you something. So let's say you get a job, you're 22 years old. You've got a current salary at the job of $50,000. Let's say you start out with $1,000 in your 401k balance. You plan on retiring at 65. You're all going to live to be longer than 85, but let's just say 85 is where you all plan to die. You're never going to get a raise, but nothing is ever going to cost more. And you're all going to get a raise, and things are going to cost more, but just to watch the math work, we're going to set those at 0, okay? You're going to get a 6% annual return on your 401k. You are going to contribute 10% of your salary towards your retirement. Your employer will match 50% of whatever you put in each time you put something in, up to 3% of your total salary. That's what all these numbers mean, okay? So if you start at age 22 and you get $50,000 a year for life, and you plan on retiring at age 65, your balance will be a little over $1 million when you retire. Can you retire on $1 million? I can't. At age 65, I think I'm going to have enough stuff paid off to where I'll be able to draw $8,000 a month and pay for things, right? Here's something to look at. 87% of what you've got is interest, right? So let's say that you get the job that you want and you've just had a junker all the way through college. You just really deserve a new car, don't you? So I'm going to get myself a nice car. I'm going to wait 4 years to start contributing to my 401k so I can pay my car off. Your car just cost about $200,000 more than it did before, right? So start soon, max out your retirement every single year, and make sure that you know your options, because you're probably at most places going to have 2 or 3. Let's go back to age 22. You're going to have 2 or 3 different options when you invest. I get 68% interest. Wouldn't that be nice? But the difference between 6, now we're back to 1.1, and let's say the next option up for your investing may be a little bit more risky, but potentially more reward. If you get just 8%, so just 2% more a year over that long term, it's about $800,000. And if you can get a double-digit return, starts really increasing, right? Now, nothing's guaranteed, except that you're going to make a lot less money if you wait. So whether that's the Vanguard account that we had a question about earlier, it's a 401k account, it's your own personal IRA. All of these things are going to be less effective if you delay. So if you take one thing away from right now and from this section is don't wait. Even if you don't know when you want to retire, you don't know what you want to do when you retire, you don't know where you want to live, doesn't matter. Start planning towards doing something later in life and knowing that you want more financial freedom, because the more money that you have, the more resources that you have, the more options that you have. Makes sense?
Eric, we have one question in chat, and then I think that's probably going to have to be our last question. It's actually kind of a combination of 2 questions that are on the same topic, but basically the question is, if your parents have a decent credit score and you become an authorized user on one of their cards and then you just rarely use it, like, is that a good way to boost your credit score?
Yes, it is. You're not building good credit habits yourself, right? It's better than not having anything, but it is looked on. It doesn't factor in as strongly in a credit score as it does if you are the primary user on the card. But yes, if your parents want to keep you on the card, you want to be an authorized user. If you don't trust yourself with a card and you know that they'll pay it off if you get a little wild, then that's probably a safe plan. I don't know that I want to have that conversation with my parents. Hey, can I just live on your credit account forever? But all joking aside, build in a safety net. The first thing I'm going to ask you when you sit down and you say you want to take out a credit card is, are you responsible enough to handle it? And if you can't confidently answer yes, I'm going to tell you how a credit card works and tell you to wait. You don't feel like you have to build your credit score right out of the gate to be perfect. It takes a while. There are other factors that come into borrowing, right? If you go and ask to buy a house, they don't just look at your credit score and say, okay, sure. They're going to look at your credit report. They're going to look at the time it took to build up. They're going to look at a debt to income ratio. There's other factors. Credit scores are very important because they get you in, they allow you to continue in the conversation, right? but it's not the end all be all. So I have seen people get in a lot of trouble because they feel like they need to take out a couple of loans so they show that they can pay on loans. So you're paying interest for no real reason. They take out 2 or 3 different credit cards and get a balance, and then they're paying interest. So don't feel like you have to do all of it right away. Responsible payments on credit accounts are the important thing.
Okay, and then Holly pointed out that you can set an upper limit on the credit card to prevent yourself from spending too much. I think that's wonderful advice. So thank you so much, Eric. I'm so sorry to have to, but maybe could you put your contact information in the chat so that if people do have specific questions for you, and you said that alumni can get in touch with you as well?
Sure. I'm just going to give you the address to the website because that will allow you to, oh, Anastasia got it, but not everybody. I'll get you on my calendar. We've got an appointment scheduling system here that most of UNG uses, and that'll just get you right on the calendar. Yeah, just book an appointment. Tell me when you want to come in, and I'll be here to meet you. And we can do it virtually. So if you're not in Georgia, that's fine too. But we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, thank you so much, Eric. That's wonderful. That's a great resource for students and for alumni as well. And yeah, I learned something every time Eric speaks. And I think that it's wonderful that you offer the distance consultant sessions. So
don't have much choice now, do we?
So I think that we are going to move into our breakout rooms now. And so Anastasia has been assigning people, and I do apologize about all that name confusion, but I think we are free of Pauls and only have one Nora now. So we should be in good shape as far as everyone's name actually reflecting their identity. So yeah.
So I'll jump in here. I've set up, if you are one of our alumni who is going to be leading speed chatting, thank you, first of all. But I've gone ahead and set you up into a room. And in 1 second, I'm going to open the rooms. And I think you should all magically go to the correct room, hopefully. Students, I've set this up so that you can choose which room you'd like to go into. This is only if you've updated your Zoom in the past month or so. If you haven't updated your Zoom and you can't find that, click that you need to get into the room you want to go to, if you'll just type it in the chat, we'll manually put you in the room. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, here comes the magic. Let's see if it works. Everybody have a great time in your rooms. It's so good to see so many of your faces, and I hope you get to catch up in the rooms as well. See you later. Or maybe not. There we go. Okay, so a few of you here. Amy Rogers, you're going to which room? Do you remember?
I think education nonprofit.
Okay, there you go. Anna Cronin, do you have a preference in which room you'd like to join?
Healthcare, please.
Perfect. Let's see. Jamie, where would you like to go?
Also healthcare, please.
Okay. Wolf, where would you like to go?
Can I have a moment to think about it?
Of course, of course, of course. And then we have someone on a phone. I'm not sure who that is. The 678 number. Is there somewhere you'd like to go? Maybe that may be Pete. Let me see where he wanted to go.
And I'll go to room 1 when you get a second. He won't let me go, so sorry.
Okay. No worries.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. I think Brandon did it real quick. Let me see where Pete wanted to go.
That works so well. Good job.
Oh my gosh, that's like magic. I loved it.
It's so
stressful. Amy, am I online or no?
Hey, is this Pete?
Yes.
Yes. Remind me which room you wanted to go to, which breakout session?
What do you have? Business, accounting, whatever, something like that?
Okay, I'm going to send you to business right now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Wolf, whenever you're ready, just let me know and I'll slide you over to your room.
Can you switch rooms? Because I'm not really sure which one I'm most interested in.
It's a great question.
Yeah, when you want to switch rooms, just come back to the main room.
Okay.
And then you should be able to pick, or we can put you in wherever.
Okay, because I didn't quite see any of them. I'm going into computer science, so I guess would that be business?
I think that's probably going to be the closest.
Okay, then I'll go into business.
All right, I'll slide you over now and just come back if you want to join any of the other rooms.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Wolf.
Thanks.
I mean, really, that was like magic. That's so cool how it works.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I think we're probably okay. I think I can just wait here for people to come back in if they have questions and reassign them.
Okay, yeah, if you feel good.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm still recording. Let me stop recording.